Hello, welcome back to Planner Apocalypse, where today we're jumping into another section of the Memento Mori Goal Planner workbook, where I am setting my personal goals. So I might have probably put a disclaimer in the previous videos, but I just wanted to mention it again in case there is anybody not starting at number 1. This is not going to be a concise demonstration or read through of the planner workbook. Well, I mean, there is a read through, but this is me setting my goals, going through the process in real time. I mean, edited, but so with that being said, it is not going to be a short experience because all of these mental and emotional things are coming up. That being said, I'm going to give myself half an hour because I do have to go pick up my daughter and maybe 35 minutes. So we'll see how far we get, and then that will be that. Ideally, I would like to get through this section, but we'll see. Lower your bar. So collecting all of the information that we've gathered so far, how there's more to do in our lives than we can ever get done as a finite human being, because we have many demands and input from literally every single person on the internet, basically. So like, the idea is to lower your bar, lower your expectations, keep your standards high, but do less. That is what this planner is about. So if you don't like that, you can go find another goal planner that is all about that, because there are plenty. Lower your bar and use it as the first rung on your ladder. Build a ladder is a concept from, and I seriously don't know how to say her last name, so from YouTuber 𝖒𝖊𝖓𝖓𝖊𝖓 of 𝖘𝖊𝖊𝖓𝖓. Previously, she was on Eat Your Kimchi, if that is helpful, who deals with both chronic pain and chronic depression, similarly to me, which is why I really like the whole build a ladder concept enough to put it in my planner. If you too deal with these things, then you know that on some days you're lucky if you can get out of bed because the pain is so intolerable, or muster the energy and strength to clean yourself after a week-long depression. Forget about killing it and getting shit done. When we are in these states, it's like being in the state of survival where all dreams have died. If you are in this place, you are not alone. In order to build your ladder, think of just one thing that you can do to help yourself function today, whether that is taking a shower or calling someone for help, and then do just that one thing. After you're done, reward yourself. If you feel like you have the energy and will to do another thing, then do that thing, and so on. But until you feel like you've done enough, I should probably edit that, hold on. Because until you've reached your limit, but I think until you've done enough. Because we don't want to be butting right up to our limit all the time, because that's not healthy. That's how we burn out. But since you originally only set out to do one thing today, you've done all you plan to do. Hooray! And that, my friends, is how you build your ladder. Pro tip, which is not written down in my planner, but it's just written down on a note that I want to add into the next iteration of the planner. When you build your ladder, make sure that you place the bottom rung where you are and not where you want to be. Because if you think about being in a pool with a pool ladder, that thing that we'd like to take away from Sims to kill them, and all of the water drains, you look up at the bottom rung and you can't reach it. So you want to make sure that the ladder is starting where you are, where you can reach that, so you can climb up and maybe out of wherever you are. Many of us with mental health struggles find ourselves mired in the bog of self-hatred, and this is a heavy weight indeed that keeps us from taking care of ourselves. But here's something that helped me out from Casey Davis's book, How to Keep House While Drowning, 31 Days of Compassionate Help, and this is the quote. You do not have to care about yourself to care for yourself. So many of us have the cart before the horse here. You think you must first like yourself to start being kind to yourself. It actually works the opposite way. Caring for yourself is the greatest tool for learning to care about yourself. That's a really good book. The chapters are very short because it's just like a daily reader kind of thing. Cried numerous times while reading this book, so highly recommend. It was like $2 or something on ebook. When we take moral judgments out of caring for ourselves, Meaning, if you view caring for yourself as right and good, you'll think, I am such a bad person because I can't even shower. I am so gross, nasty, dirty, disgusting, etc. They become easier to handle because they don't carry the same emotional baggage. So we're looking for moral neutrality here. The irony is, and this is a quote from 𝖘𝖊𝖓𝖓𝖓 again, the irony is that care tasks can only be caring when they are morally neutral. If changing your sheets means nothing morally, then the decision to change them from a motivation of kindness to yourself takes you from neutral to, wow, that feels good. You didn't have to do it, but you did. If you were about to sit on a park bench and you noticed that there was a leaf or a wrapper on it, this is me talking, quote over, you would move the leaf or the wrapper before you sat down and think nothing of it, because it isn't a moral failing that the bench has something on it. It's morally neutral. Am I telling you to think of yourself as an inanimate object when you need to shower? If it helps, go for it until you can feel alive again. We are sold a lie from when we are very young that success means working yourself into fatigue, depression, burnout, illness in order to make money, to have the mansion, the 3 luxury cars, the elite private school education. There's an extra space there. To buy all the things that our capitalist society says that we need in order to have value as a person. That if you're not working, you have no worth because you can't contribute to society by buying a bunch of shit you don't actually need. Take a minute to inhale deeply. Do you smell that? Because I smell some bullshit. It's time to redefine what success means specifically to you. Maybe success is just getting through the day. Maybe success is not yelling at your kids when your nervous system is too dysregulated to think straight. As artist Chris Ann has said, clearly defining your goal as a feeling or as an experience will help you to understand what you are working so hard for. What exactly does success look like to you? How does it feel? I think for me, success will feel like I'm not absolutely struggling all the time. I think success for me will also feel like I have a solid foundation under me, that I'm not dangling over a hole. And from that place where I feel secure, I can start building resources outward to help other people. But like right now, I feel like I'm so deep in survival mode. It's hard to navigate clearly through that when you're there. Next section, excuses or a reason. Rachel Hoffman put it so very well in her book, Unfuck Your Habitat, highly recommended, when she explained excuses are things that people use to justify not doing something because they don't want to do it. Reasons are how people explain not doing something because they aren't able to do it. You see the difference? Saying you don't want to wash the dishes because they're just going to get dirty again is an excuse. Saying that you can't stand up for more than a few consecutive minutes to wash dishes because you're having a pain flare-up is a reason. In this section, we are addressing your excuses only. It's not my job, meaning me, to call anyone out here. You know yourself best. It's up to you to dig a little deeper and determine whether your reason is actually an excuse and if your excuse is a legitimate reason. Be as gentle and honest with yourself as you can. So, getting into this, I want everyone to just keep in mind that what I'm writing down is just for me. What I'm saying is just for me and how I'm reflecting on how I am and what my life is like. So I don't want anyone to feel like I'm talking to them because I'm not. This is just about me personally. What excuses are you holding on to? I'm not ready to start writing yet. I'm too tired to clean my house. It's too hard to declutter. Do you notice any similarities between the things you are making excuses about? All right, so I'm not ready to start writing yet. Probably it stems from perfectionism. I'm too tired to clean my house is a energy, mental health kind of thing, fatigue. And then it's too hard to declutter. There's just too many decisions, which goes back into this mental health, energy, fatigue kind of area. So I know, like I said, this is an excuse and this is a reason. However, when you are so plagued with guilt about not doing these things, it gets very difficult to determine. Because for me personally, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I have very often in the past pushed myself to do more and, then come to regret it when I get a pain flare up in my joints, or, like I just can't do anything for the next few days. So because of the perfectionism with cleaning, I've associated having it be like to a certain level, and I've associated it always being difficult and hard. So I think the thing to do in this situation would be just do 5-minute runs of cleaning and then stop, because I also try to do this and then I just absolutely do not stop for hours, and this is how I get pain flare-ups and stuff like that. So I need to do 5-minute cleans and stop, just to teach my brain that to break the association between cleaning and having it take forever and be actually physically painful and exhausting. So I think that's number one. That kind of goes beyond the question, so sorry, but I'm already thinking ahead. Do you notice any similarities between the things you are making excuses about? So they are reasons, and I would say my perfectionism and certain associations have made things appear worse than they are. Because it's always cleaning the bathroom. There are so many different steps. What if we just scrub the toilet today and then do nothing else? And then tomorrow we scrub the sink, and then the next day we do something else. And it's very frustrating to someone like myself who likes being able to check a lot of things off, but I just don't check things off, especially if I'm in this state where I'm like, ugh, that is so overwhelming. So it's like going back to lower the bar. Where do you want to start? What is easy right now? Upon closer examination of these things, you feel resistance around, hence the excuses. Do they or do they not align with your values as they are now? I feel like I've been answering a different set of questions than I've been actually asking. So, okay, I'm feeling resistance around writing, and then that writing and art is 100% in my values, because that's creativity. So yes, they do. I'm just scared. And I've gone into all that stuff in the last thing. Is it possible you've simply outgrown them or are rebelling against them because they're not in alignment with you? So they are in alignment with me. Have I simply outgrown them? Do I still want to write books? Yes, I do. Do I still want to make my comic book? Yes, I do. So what I need to do is just accept that it's not going to be my magnum opus, and it's probably not going to even be good, but it's going to be mine. It's not going to be good, but it's going to be mine. And I realize how very weird all of this might sound if you are coming from the traditional goal setting or manifestation, new age background. You can word your things however you want, but me personally, I need to be realistic about these things, because if I put too much pressure on my project, I will balk and the perfectionism will take over, and then I will not do anything. So this is what I have to do for myself. I'm not prescribing this for anybody else. If you are still expected to do these things, i.e. for a job, etc., how much of the situation do you actually have control over? Can you propose a trade-off? I can't do this, but I can do that instead. I'm not available at this time, but I would be more than happy to call you at this day and time. I wrote this for other people, so I work for myself. I'm not going to answer that question. What things that other people have told you are excuses are actually legitimate reasons / barriers? The stuff with cleaning, I don't think anyone's actually said those things to me, but society, I blame society. It's just deeply ingrained in me that I do not work outside the home, therefore my work is inside the home, and that means I need to have this house looking spotless all the time, and it's extremely difficult for me and literally all of my other people in this household. So I'm not sure what else, but that's always the big one. Yeah. Can these barriers be removed with some support from someone you trust? Who? Family. Or a cleaning service, but we can't actually afford that right now, so. Cycles. Everything in nature has a cycle. The moon waxes, growing in brightness, and then wanes, settling into the darkness before heading into the light again. Earth goes through its own changes through the seasons as we drift closer and farther from the sun. Renewal in the spring, the abundance of growth in summer, harvest in autumn, and then then the fallow time in winter, when everything may seem dead but is only dormant, waiting for rebirth in spring. We forget that we as human beings are part of nature, as much as we may try to remove ourselves from it. We too are subject to our own seasons, cycles, and rhythms. Our very life cycle can be divided into seasons on macro and micro levels. As babies, we are born in the spring and continue through childhood. The summertime of our adolescence and young adulthood is filled with an abundance of vitality and life energy. This vitality starts to fade in our autumnal middle age, and then in the winters of our lives, when our hair is as white as the snow, we are returned to the earth and our cycle has ended. While we always want to be conscious of our overarching life cycle, it's important to pay attention to our own personal micro cycles. Paying attention to how we as individuals experience our own waxing and waning helps us to plan our tasks more effectively. Do you menstruate? Do you have mental or physical health issues that wax and wane? Do you get seasonal affective disorder? It's important that we realize when we are in our waning phase and to give ourselves grace and rest if that is what we need. It's a good idea when we are in our waning phase to look back and acknowledge all that we have been able to accomplish, no matter how small. The fallow time is a great time to review. Macro. What season of life are you currently in? So, being 42 years old, I am in the autumn years of my life. The wild queen phase of my life, if you will, which I'm loving that term. That's very funny to me. What cycles do you need to be aware of for yourself as you move forward? So I do still have my menstrual cycle. It's kind of awful. I feel like I just bleed forever. You're welcome. My depression, my anxiety, and I feel like those two dance with each other a lot. Sometimes I have insomnia, and luckily I'm like not in a cycle of insomnia right now, so I'm very happy for myself. Though I have been resisting going to sleep, so there's that. I'm doing it like the reverse. So what do the stages in each of your personal cycles look like? If I were going to plot out my menstrual cycle as far as, like spring, summer, autumn, winter, like this, what would I do? So for me, winter is so everyone just remember winter is like the fallow time when you're supposed to be resting. So looking at your menstrual cycle, if you do menstruate, or your mental health issues, your physical health issues, whatever you're plotting on this grid, they're in that thing, where are you supposed to be resting? For me, my menstrual cycle, when the bleed first starts and my cramps are really bad, and so then the spring would be toward the end of my period, and then the summer would be not bleeding at all. Yay. And then autumn would be the week before when I'm getting cramps. So that's that. Depression and anxiety. Okay, so I'm gonna put depression in winter because I'm just not capable of doing anything. And before I get depressed, if I have a lot of anxiety, more often than not, that's followed by a depressive crash. So I'm gonna put anxiety in autumn. I'm also going to put burnout in winter because that's, I need to rest when I'm doing that. And mental health. So this is personal cycles. This is not actually during the year. This is your personal cycle. Like, it doesn't have to be during the winter. So then that would mean spring would be coming out of depression for me. And then in the mental health cycle, summer would be everything's fine. Everything is sunshine and rainbows. I don't always have, an anxiety spike that causes depression, just to put that out there, but I have noticed that they kind of coincide a lot. The kind of change we're trying to make in ourselves during this process can be challenging, and that's okay. How can you take care of yourself not only when the shit hits the fan, but on a regular basis so that that doesn't happen or the occurrence is far less frequent? I personally need to put better boundaries in place between work and the rest of my life. And I've mentioned it before in other videos, when you're working for yourself and you're doing things that you love, it's very hard to set up boundaries against that because it doesn't necessarily all the time feel like work until you're already looking, at the other side of burnout and you're like, oh, maybe, I shouldn't be pressing forward so much. So work and life boundaries. What else? Short bursts of cleaning, 5 minutes per day. until you can work longer, work higher. Because it's also, you know, discipline is also a muscle, that kind of thing, you know, like, and if you go to the gym right now and you try to bench press 300 pounds without doing any kind of prep work, maybe some of you can do it and, you know, great for you. I would break my noodle arms and probably choke to death once, you know. Actually, I probably wouldn't even be able to lift the thing off the off the thing. But okay, the point is, you need to start small. You need to start building your muscle with low weight. And honestly, that's that, I think. And oh yeah, also go to sleep. I've been very good the past couple days. If you are the type of person who gives to others first, self-care could feel selfish and may be triggering, especially if you have people-pleasing tendencies. Just remember that if you are constantly depleted, you will not be able to help anyone. Your batteries will run out and you will cease functioning. Stopping to recharge is a must if you want to keep supporting the people and animals you love. You have to show up to live your own life because no one else is going to live it for you. Take attendance if you have to. Ask yourself, am I here today? If the answer is no, then where the hell are you? I also want to say, this is about to go off. I also want to just put out there, because I actually downloaded one of those like habit training apps, and I was looking through the rewards that they had. Take a whatever minute rest. Rest is not a reward. So I want anyone who thinks that to stop. Stop that. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a right. Rest is an imperative. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to say, I'm going to work for an hour and then I can have a rest. Don't. If your body and your mind and your emotions and your soul is telling you that you need a rest, listen, because this is how we burn ourselves out. This is how we erode our sense of self-trust by just ignoring all of the signals that our body is telling us. So I have done it many times. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I am trying to call people out. Okay. I'm calling myself out though. So you are not alone if you do that as well. Rest is not a reward. Take it when you need it. And with that, I will say goodbye for now and see you in the next one. Bye. Stickers and washi tape galore.